Long Beach Deputy Director for Economic Development and the Executive Director for the Pacific Gateway Workforce Investment Network. Participants in the flight and others from AstroAccess are available for individual interviews following this session. B-roll footage and still images from the flight are available online for download. My colleague, Lauren, can provide you that URL after the session. A longer form panel discussion will also be held next door following this news conference, and you are invited to attend. We'll begin in just a couple of minutes. Thank you. You know, 3 minutes or whatever. Good morning, everyone.
I'm Nick Schultz, and it's my pleasure to be here on the Cal State Long Beach campus, representing the city of Long Beach. Mission AstroAccess work actually exemplifies the resurgence of aerospace in the city of Long Beach, particularly modern space initiatives. AstroAccess work in research and design will inform the training that will allow Cal State graduates to go on and support the most competitive and well-prepared space workforce in the United States. And that will be continually supported by the city working to attract these modern space companies to our town. And I can tease you a little bit and say the expansion of what we now call Space Beach is on the immediate horizon. And we're going to have some significant announcements coming up about that expansion in the very near future. But what I'm here today to do is introduce you to Mr. George Whiteside. George is the project co-lead for AstroAccess, and he's also the chair of the Space Advisory Board for Virgin Galactic. So please help me welcome George.
Thank you so much. And it's so great to be in Long Beach. I'm going to pull this down just for my remarks. I'll put it back on if that's okay. You know, as you know, when we moved Virgin Orbit to Long Beach, that was a big deal. And, you know, we were one of the earlier space launch companies to come into this area. And it is just amazing to see the transformation of Long Beach into a center of aerospace innovation. So it's so perfect for us to be here doing the AstroAccess project with you all today. I just want to make sure that everybody knows the amazing people in this room. So I'd love to start by recognizing a couple of key people. My project co-lead, Anna Volker. Where's Anna? Is she somewhere here? Anna is not here. Okay, great. Okay, that's one person who's not here. And then where's Ann Kapusta? Is Ann Kapusta here? No. Okay, good. Good to know. It's a great start for this Monday morning. Anyway, I just love to quickly go around and introduce the ambassadors that we have. So we have Sherry, wave your hand there. Sina, amazing. Mona, Mary, Victoria, Eric, Apurva, Sawyer, Zuby, Eric, and you'll hear from these superstars in a little bit. So I won't introduce Dana and Cece, but okay. And now we've got, okay, there's two great people. So we've got Anna Volker here. Everybody, I'll give him more, say hello so people can tell where you are. And okay, great. And we've got Ann Kapusta here. Give us say hello. All right. Absolutely fantastic. And we've got some other amazing people. Beth, thank you for being here this morning. Incredible partner at CSU Long Beach. So what we did yesterday was absolutely historic, and it's fantastic that it happened from Long Beach. We flew an incredibly talented crew of ambassadors on board Zero Gravity Corporation 727. We actually flew off the coast of California up to about 32,000 feet and did 15 parabolic maneuvers, during which we experienced the joy and wonder of microgravity. And we experienced a few Martian and so-called lunar parabolas, where they reduced the gravity or the perception of gravity to just a bit, and then we went into full zero G mode, and it was an incredible experience. This is something that has been in work for really over a year, and I won't talk much about the experience itself, but I did want to just thank the amazing partners and sponsors that we had. In particular, I wanted to thank DAV, Disabled American Veterans, and I believe Todd is here, our partner representative from DAV. Thank you so much for your early support of this project. I wanted to say thank Gallaudet University, who was a great early supporter, the Massachusetts Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired, the Space Frontier Foundation. We have a board member, I believe, from Space Frontier in Eric Ingram, the Lighthouse for the Blind and Visually Impaired, and Sherry is really close with that organization and has done really great work, and some support as well from my family foundation. There's a very long list of additional organizations, including CSU Long Beach and many others. We were honored yesterday by the President of the UN General Assembly, thanks to the Royal Academy of Science and International Trust, who organized that. And we're really pleased with all the educational partners that we have, including Gallaudet, the MIT Media Lab Space Exploration Initiative, the Stanford Medicine Abilities Coalition, the Ohio State University Department of Astronomy, Edinburgh University, and of course, UCSD's Arthur C. Clarke Center for Human Imagination. And I believe we have Eric Veary here, who's the director of that incredible program. I'm nearly done. We have just a couple of other amazing corporate supporters, including People Love Art and Anne. Where's Anne Costa? Did she escape again? Yeah, this keeps happening. I apologize. So Anne and her husband, Adam, in addition to being the project lead for us, is this incredible entrepreneur who has created all of these incredible wearable apparel items. So the jackets that you see, and if you look online at the images and the stills that of the flight, you see these incredible flight suits, which Victoria collaborated on, and just amazing stuff. And if anybody's interested, they can, I think, get some t-shirts later. We also were pleased to have FTI Consulting, Virgin Orbit, Relativity Space, Soundbrenner, Stellar Amenities, C3D, and ThinkSpace Mission Consulting. And finally, I just wanted to thank all of our space-related organizations. So AIAA was a great early partner, Disabled for Accessibility in Space, Space for Humanity, the Aspen Science Center, the Center for Lunar and Asteroid Surface Sciences, Solar System Exploration Research Virtual Institute, and the Astronomical Society of the Pacific. I think I have gotten through all of those amazing. What you see there is just the incredible interest. Yeah, let's give them a round of applause. What you see there is the incredible, I think, shared inspiration around the idea of universal design and the idea that space should, in fact, be accessible for all, right? We are at the verge of an incredible moment in human history when the innovation in space opens space for the benefit of humanity, and we have to take everyone with us. That future has to be inclusive. If we do that right, it will be a better, safer, more effective future. And I think that the ambassadors who flew yesterday proved that with their incredible demonstrations, which you'll hear more about. So why don't we get on to the more interesting part, which is to hear from the ambassadors themselves. Thanks for your time, everybody, and sincere thanks to CSU Long Beach for hosting us today. Okay, who wants to go first?
Okay.
Yes?
I'll go first.
Oh, yeah.
That's easy.
You-
Let's flip the coin.
I-
Anne?
Who should go first? Okay, sorry. Okay. Let's see over here.
you want me to say?
I think it would be great if you could talk just a little bit about your experience
Okay, I'll pick
yesterday
this up.
and,
Sure.
and how you found the flight.
Sure. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Centra Cece Mazik. Cece is really not my middle name. I just adopted it. I am a disabled veteran, United States Army, paratrooper, 82nd Airborne Division, jump master, Paralympian 2012, and also a single parent of a fascinating sophomore in college son. He lights my world, and this is why I do what I do, to let him know that just because you have a disability, life does not end. And life truly begins at the start of the end of your comfort zone. So with that being said, DAV has granted me this opportunity to take this flight, and words cannot explain how I felt, because I'm used to jumping out of airplanes, not staying on airplanes. So staying on this aircraft, it was a dream. I was a bit terrified. I wasn't really nervous. The thing about it was how I was gonna feel once I started floating. And I felt amazing. I wanted to do it more. I wanted to last longer. And I did not get sick, thank God. And I'm just so excited about this mission, AstroAccess, because it is including our community of disability. And inclusion to me is everything. And also, not only that, it's being a woman of color that's being represented. Because we are not represented like we should, the disabled community and women and just people of color in general. And I'm excited to be a part of that community as well. And I thank George and Anne and the whole crew for what you guys are doing for the future. And I'm so happy to be a part of this future. We are making history here, and this is amazing. My crew, that's what I'm gonna call you guys. You guys are amazing. I love you guys already. The camaraderie that we have shared over this past week or so, it just brings tears to my eyes to a bunch of extraordinary, smart, intelligent individuals that I have learned so much from. You know, it's a little different coming from the military world, and now you're being surrounded by individuals with degrees of engineering and astronomical stuff. And here I go. I mean, I have a fashion degree and I have a degree in sociology with a minor in women's studies, but I also have my background in the military. So I guess we can come together and I can tell you my story and you can tell me your story, and then we can all get together to be better, in which that's exactly what we're doing, to make AstroAccess this huge thing. And it doesn't stop here. I think we have a long way to go, but getting started, I think, is the thing. And then that's exactly what we're doing. And I am so, so proud and so just elated on what's happening here. We are paving the way for the future. We are. I thank you again, DAV, for allowing me to have this opportunity. I don't know what I would be or what I would do without DAV. They have been actually a sounding board for me, to give me a platform to tell my story. And this is another way to tell my story and also to share it with you all and to be a part of this amazing program. And I am so grateful. And I pray that this is not the last time that I am in the air. Thank you again, George, for all your great work. Thank you so much for allowing me to have this opportunity. I'm grateful. And thank you, Anne, so much for all you have done, and her husband. Thank you so much to my ambassadors for accepting me for who I am. Greatly appreciate it. And with that being said, let the mission continue.
Hey, everyone. First of all, I want to say it's really great to be back at my alma mater. I spent many years here, got into a little bit of trouble, stayed up too late sometimes, and it was fun. I mean, Long Beach was a great school, and it gave me lots of opportunities, and it prepared me for my life because I got my degree in mechanical engineering. And with that, I was able to start my career in the space industry. So thank you for that. And also, I wanted to mention that while I was here, the Disabled Student Services was just phenomenal. Dave Sanfilippo retired not too long ago, and yeah, he did an amazing job with the program. So I'm sure that they're continuing that legacy. As far as my experience with the ambassadors, it's been quite a trip. You know, I'm so proud to be part of this group of amazing ambassadors. And Centra brought up a good point, and that we're such a diverse group. You know, we bring all of ourselves to the table, and for that, it makes this group even more incredible. And every piece that we bring is an important part of the puzzle. And we make our unique contributions. And all of it is it's to leverage this time where space is opening up to more people. And it's important that we're doing this at this time because we want to be involved in the beginning so we could help shape it. I mean, that's the most important thing. You know, when you think about accessibility, making places accessible here on Earth, you know, it's a no-brainer. It's a lot cheaper and it makes a lot more sense to do it in the beginning rather than retrofit. And that's what we want to do in space. We want to come in at the beginning, and we want to be able to contribute our perspectives, our unique perspectives and our expertise, because really the people that you're making spaces accessible for, we have to be part of that solution. Because what people who don't have disabilities, they may think something might work, but really you have to get the feedback from the people you're trying to help. Because so many times we see examples where it just doesn't make the cut, right? Where they tried to make something accessible and it just isn't. So hopefully it's with this effort that we really show to everybody that it makes more sense to include us from the beginning and to get our input. And the experience yesterday was incredible. I mean, you know, it was great floating and not looking up from the ground, you know, or I don't really look up from my chair anymore since I have an elevator, but still for many years I didn't have that. And so I was looking up, and in fact, that's the greatest value of a seat elevator. It's not only being able to reach, I mean, that's just a nice benefit, but the best part is just interacting people eye to eye. I mean, it's an incredible, different feeling, you know, it's a feeling of empowerment, and floating in space was just another level higher. I was one of the ones who was terrified. I don't want to admit it, but I want to be truthful. Because I don't have my limbs, I don't have my legs. I had it in my head. I mean, the first time I touched the ceiling, you know, at first it was like, oh my God, this is great. And then it hit me. I'm like, oh my God, I could fall really far and hit myself. So I was a bit scared, and I kind of, you know, I tried I spent a lot of the parabolas just trying to control my movements and staying upright. And I was able to do that. Toward the end, like the last couple of parabolas, I felt a little bit nauseous. I didn't get sick. I didn't throw up, but I mean, I'm glad I lasted that long. And I do, for me, it's really important to get the practice in, right? We went to the plane the day before to do a dress rehearsal. And to me, the value was really immeasurable because it gave me the confidence to know, okay, at the end of the flight, I'll be able to get in my seat on my own. And that was really important. And my partner, Katie Coleman, was amazing. And I know she was a bit scared of me trying to struggle, because it was a bit of an iteration of trying different methods. I mean, it took me at least 30 minutes to finally figure out how I was going to do it. And I did it 2 or 3 times on my own and it worked. And at the end of the day, because I was feeling a little nauseous, we just used one of the parabolas to like grab me and put me in my seat. So on one hand, you could say it didn't do much good, but it did, because I needed to have that feeling before I went on the flight. I needed to at least have a sense of, yes, at the end of it, I could put myself in my seat and I'll be fine. The rest of it was just gravy, and seeing the excitement of everybody and the happiness was just left such a really great feeling inside. And I'm very thankful that this experience was shared with all of you. And I think that the planning committee of Mission AstroAccess couldn't have done a better job in the selection of individuals. And I do feel like we're a family, and thank you for letting me be part of the family. And for the planners, thanks for this incredible opportunity. We want to make you proud and hopefully show that to show the potential of our community to the rest of the world. That's it.
Okay, fantastic. So I think we have time for a few questions, if that's okay. What I'd love to do is actually have, this is me screwing up, the normal flow of things, because I always do this. Can we just get Ann, Anna, and Tim to come up here? And you guys can stand over there, because some of these questions might be for you. Feel free to also ask questions of the audience, or the ambassadors themselves, if anybody has any particular questions. Each of the groups on the flight did different demonstrations. So, there were demonstrations related to mobility. There were demonstrations related to visual cues, and there were demonstrations related to audio cues, broadly speaking. And each of those teams, conducted those different demonstrations. So, Ann, come on up here if you don't mind. Sorry. While you're coming up, a key part of this was the AstroAccess initiative, which was, essentially part of the genesis of this thing. Maybe you could just talk about that for 2 seconds, Anna. And oh wait, Ann's escaping the other direction. Okay, and then we can maybe turn it over for some questions, if that's okay. So just a brief word there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. My name is Anna Volker. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm the founder and executive director of AstroAccess, which is a nonprofit dedicated to advancing disability inclusion in STEM. And so that's really where my passion is. That's what I love working on. And I've had the privilege and the honor of meeting so many amazing people doing essential things in this field. And it's my real goal to connect people and to bring them together so that we can advance that even further. And so from that, I was able to connect with George and with the fantastic folks in this room to really create something that we saw a need for in the space community. And so that's how AstroAccess was born, how this mission came to be. And since then, it has just grown beyond our wildest imagination into something that I'm really so excited for what's next and for what we can do together. And I wanted to share as well that after this event, we will have an opportunity to hear from the majority of our ambassadors who will actually be joining us at the AstroAccess conference next month on November 12th. And we'll have a panel at 11 a.m. Eastern time with our ambassadors there to share 1 month later their reflections and thoughts and experiences. And all of that will be available for your participation at sciaccess.org. So we're really excited to have our ambassadors share their work and their stories with everyone. Thank you.
How you want to run it? I can monitor questions or you can or whatever. Any questions from anybody? Yeah, Chelsea.
Hi, I'm Chelsea, I'm a reporter with space.com. I have kind of a two-part question for any of the ambassadors who would like to answer. The first part of the question is if anyone would like to speak about any of the specific demonstrations or experiments that they did that they really enjoyed or kind of how that was for them. And then the second part of my question is, I know the flight just happened yesterday, but if anyone already has some thoughts on kind of what worked, what didn't in thinking about future space flight vehicles and thinking about what these environments should look like in the future.
That's a great question, Chelsea. Thank you so much. Does anybody want to jump in on that? Mary, so Mary, can you come over to the mic just so that people can hear it on the live screen? Mary, why don't you just introduce, say one sentence about your background. So people-
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Mary. I'm a current senior at Stanford University. I'm majoring in aerospace engineering and computer science. And so yesterday on the flight, the coolest demonstration I got to do was I took off my prosthetic leg. I'm a below the knee amputee. And I really wanted to demonstrate that I am able to maneuver and take care of my disability the same way I do on Earth, that I would be able to do it in a zero gravity environment. So I took off my prosthetic leg. I even let it float around a bit, which is a surreal, euphoric experience, to say the least. And then from there, I was able to also put it back on as well, which I think was really awesome. In terms of looking forward and like some accessibility ideas, I think all of us definitely discovered that zero G is very hard to maneuver in. And it makes you kind of feel like a kid. We all had huge smiles and we're like bumping around and ending up in different parts of the cabin, which is really fun, but also from a mission standpoint, like space maneuverability is really important. So I think each of us kind of came up with different tricks that helped us. I know for me, I think something that would be really helpful is like a foot rail that I think could have been a really helpful design, and especially one that I'd be able to adapt for my prosthetic leg, working with different prosthetists. And I think that could be as simple as almost like a magnetic device. So that's an idea that I have, but yeah.
Great, Mary. Thank you so much. I'd love to actually highlight Sherry and Sina, among many others, and Mona. Would any of you like to sort of take a crack at that question as well? And I don't know if, yeah, do you mind? Yeah. Sure. Yeah, just trade place. And Sina, if you can just say a word about your background as well before you begin, that'd be great.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sina Baram. I'm the president of a company called Prime Access Consulting. I'm going to drop this just a little bit for mic clarity. And I'm an inclusive design expert and computer scientist. I happen to be blind, and I spend a lot of my time thinking about how to make both digital and physical worlds more welcoming and more inclusive for everyone. And as the comments we heard earlier, from the get-go, from the beginning, so that we're not spending all of our time and energy retrofitting accessibility and inclusion into these spaces. In terms of the experience on the flight, just pure delight and joy in terms of the sensation of floating and the freedom that comes with, but also then navigating disorientation. And as somebody who's blind, being disoriented in the space is it's not a unfamiliar feeling. But in this particular case, the coping mechanisms and the methodologies that we use here on Earth need to be adapted. And the environments that we're building in microgravity and for suborbital and orbital flight, which is really the objective of this work, right? It's not to make a microgravity flight accessible, it's to make suborbital and orbital flight accessible and eventually transplanetary, right? And so we need to be thinking about solutions, whether it's audio cues, vibrotactile information where we use vibration, and other mechanisms like textures on the wall. And this is really important, not only because of having an astronaut who might be blind or have visual differences, but also because this is a critical safety issue. If we perform these actions and build these considerations into our designs, it not only means that persons of diverse abilities are able to participate equitably in the future of humanity, it also means that when somebody who is able to see, who is able to hear, who does have the use of their limbs, then does not have those senses and abilities because of an accident or because of a temporary situation, the environment has already been considerate of that situation. And so it is actually a critical life safety issue. And so that's why I'm so excited about this work, because it's not only for all of us achieving some lifelong dreams of floating in microgravity and just experiencing this. I cannot tell you how incredible my fellow 11 ambassadors are. These are the most amazing people I've met, but also because we're improving the safety of these experiences for everyone, and thereby showing that by considering persons with disabilities and the diverse abilities we bring to the table, we are not only, it's not a nice to have, it's a must have if we're going to become a successful interplanetary species.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Dave. Okay. And just to close that out, Chelsea, I mean, I think it's super exciting moment in space history because there's going to be several private space stations being designed and built over the next few years. So it's a perfect moment to think about accessibility in the environment, because as Sina says, designing those stations in an accessible way will not just make them open to all people, but it will make the experience of those stations much safer and more effective for everyone. Another question, anyone want to ask? While people think about it, I just wanted to say a couple of things. So Tim Bailey is incredible. He's sort of manages a couple things. He's one of the most experienced parabolic flyers on the planet, and has been one of the key organizers for this thing. I just wanted to see, Tim, if you wanted to say a word from the Zero G perspective or from the Yuri's Night perspective, which is the fiscal host of the organization. Did you want to say anything?
Sure. I will point out real quick, what Sina was talking about, needing to do those demonstrations with haptics and with lights and with audio cues. Those are actually demonstrations that were going on in the plane. So that's not a theoretical, that he's talking from experience, that those were some of the things and the textures that we had on board the aircraft. So it was amazing to see those demonstrations happen and no longer be in the realm of the theoretical. My name is Tim Bailey. I'm executive director of Yuri's Night. We are a global nonprofit that looks at ways to create intersections between art and science and space, and really bring communities together to celebrate what it is to be humans moving out into the cosmos. We're really excited to be the fiscal sponsor for AstroAccess and be able to create new communities and bring new communities in and make new people feel like they have a place in space, because that's what we love to do. I'm also part-time crew for the Zero Gravity Corporation. I've got about 350 flights, about 8,000 parabolas. So as far as commercial parabolic flight goes, I'm towards the top of the list. So it was really amazing for me to be able to see and understand some of those accessibility things and look at what could we do different on the aircraft and what do we not need to do different on the aircraft, because the people in this room were fully capable of being on that aircraft and be safe and maneuver around and have a fantastic time with basically no accommodation other than maybe some boarding and deplaning that we had to think and consider. But otherwise, I mean, I will be honest, Dana, you were the person that I was the most concerned about, and you did fantastic. You did not have a problem. I would bring you on the plane any day of the week. You want to go? Let us know tomorrow. I don't think there's a flight tomorrow, but we'll work it out. And that was one of the most incredible things to me to watch, not just for myself, but for other crew members, for people at the airport, for people all around us that got to really understand that these individuals are completely capable. They're not delicate. They're not somehow less than. They need different accommodations. Some people need to eat a specific thing before they go on a flight to be really capable on the flight. And some people need an ASL interpreter, and that's fine, right? That's not a hard thing to do. And so it was really incredible to watch all of these people bring all of their talents to bear on this and do the demonstrations and the research and really look at if they were making it a better experience, if they were making it an easier experience, how would that happen? Because they've already got this down. They can already go and fly and have an amazing time. And so I'm honored to have been able to be on this flight. Out of 350 flights, this is definitely one of my favorites, and I can't wait to fly with all of you again.
Terrific.
Sorry for the impromptu joining.
Yeah, no,
Up
well.
here. We have a question that came to us as a result of our live streaming of this news conference. A question to the hearing impaired folks on the flight. This is from Keith Cowing at nasawatch.com. As a former ASL interpreter, I noticed that signing while flying on a zero-G flight affected the way my body was moving. Did you experience that as well?
Thanks for the question. And so, Apurva and Eric, would you like to answer that question?
Sure, this is Eric. I actually didn't get a chance to sign much on the flight.
Let's just, Justin, do you mind coming here? And that way you can just speak into the live stream. Okay.
I have the ambassadors come up. so
Yeah, that'd be
they're
great.
in front of the-
You want
For the videos.
You guys want to come up here? We want to see your face. Yeah. Sit up here.
So yeah, I actually didn't get a chance to sign much on the flight because I was so focused on keeping myself from hitting something. But honestly, 10 years ago, I did experience a parabolic flight, zero-G flight, and I felt more in control this time than I did the first time. And I'm sure Apurva, my other deaf crewmate, tried to sign a little bit on the flight, and you'll hear from him at some point, I'm sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Apurva Varia. I'm Mission Director for a space organization. And I just want to say this was a great experience, just experiencing weightlessness. It's such an amazing thing. For the deaf community, I think this was a big challenge because when you're trying to sign in zero-G, you can't stop yourself. You're moving. So you're kind of moving as you're talking, and then you have to stop signing and push off the wall. And it was very disoriented, but at the same time, it was awesome. I mean, there was one point I was upside down and I tried to sign. I know Eric couldn't see me, and there just wasn't enough time. I wish we could have more times per parabola. One of my interpreters was able to see me, he was right side up and could understand what I was saying when I was upside down. But who knows if we could have a long-term conversation that way? Maybe in the future we can find out. But it's just very hard to do as you're in weightlessness and free fall. It's not the easiest thing, but we just needed more time to really feel it, to get the full experience. For us, we had a lighting system that would help us know our situational awareness when we were going in and out of the parabolas. Well, I mean, granted, there are some improvements we need to make for future flights, but it was a great first step.
It's very modest, but he manages some of the most important space missions in the world, and we're incredibly honored to have him on board. Other questions? There is one other thing that I want to hit before we conclude today. Ann Kapusta is our maybe you can maneuver your way around, was the driving force behind a lot of our organization. And I just maybe invite you to say any comments about the intersection between design thinking and all the work that you did, both between MIT and people of art and all the other things that connect into this mission.
Great. Yeah, thanks. Hi, everybody. My name is Ann Kapusta. I was the mission director for the AstroAccess Flight 1 experiment and hope to continue that role in future flights as well. Yeah, I mean, for me, I come from a background in both aerospace and running space station payloads on the International Space Station, as well as a background in emerging technology and disability organizations and representation. So this was a perfect intersection for me personally to join this program. And I was so
excited to bring all those different experiences to coordinating this amazing team of people, both our ambassadors that are here, as well as a ton of great expertise behind the scenes that helped us make this possible. Inclusive design benefits all. That's a known fact. If you think about accessibility and you think about inclusive design at the start, it's not hard. And that's what we're trying to prove here. We're at the next step in spaceflight travel as we open those doors for everybody. Space tourism is on the rise. There are private space companies every day launching new people into space. And our mission here is to make sure that that space is accessible for everybody and that we design for inclusivity first. So we did that in this mission through design thinking and user-centered design methodologies. We did this in a very, very rapid turnaround, as is the way with design thinking. We brought our ambassadors into our team with their lived experiences. We found out what those challenges were that spaceflight brings that might not be here on Earth. And we also found the solutions that intersected that we've already solved here on Earth that we could bring up to space. And that was really what this demonstration flight was about, was those initial MVPs, those minimum viable products, those initial prototypes for things that we thought would be challenges that we knew with a little bit of thought we could solve. So exactly what Apurva was just saying, we tested some systems so that in spaceflight, you don't have to rely on ASL communications when you might need your hands to do something else. So what are other visual communications that we can bring on board the aircraft? And those are things like lighting or live captioning, or in the future, robotic signers, things like that are all these kind of advanced concepts of spaceflight technology that our program here is starting the foundation of with our flight yesterday. So we test those things. We did it quickly. We came up with 15 different experiments, demonstrations that we tested on flight in very small ways. And we learned from that. And now we'll iterate. We'll bring this feedback that we now have of 12 people with unique experiences. You now have this lived experience on Earth and this lived experience in a zero gravity environment. We're going to bring that back to the table. We're going to recycle on the design thinking. We're going to talk about what we learned, and we're going to create the next version for our next test flight, which hopefully won't be too far down the road. Anyway, that's probably a long enough commentary on that. But I think it's really important that in inclusive design and in accessibility, that we rely on those with the experience, we listen, and we test together. And we're a team of disabled researchers here across the board, both those that flew and those behind the scenes that are working together to make sure that we make space accessible for everyone.
Maybe time for one last question. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Caitlin.
Is there anything that any of you would say to someone who is disabled and is interested in STEM but may not be sure that they're able, this is an industry that they're able to enter?
Sure. Yeah.
What about Victoria? You want to say something? She hasn't had it.
But if you want to say something, just come on up here to the mic.
Hey everyone. So my name is Victoria Modesta, and I'm a bionic performance artist and a creative director. I don't know, there's a lot of really fantastic things that have been said today. My work has tended to been focusing on really how do we advance the conversation when it comes to the cultural place of disability, and how do we really sort of come together and figure out what is this new image and this new idea and new kind of row of possibilities that we sort of represent. I've been very lucky to have worked with organizations such as the Paralympics and various other organizations throughout the world that really focus on advancing, the showcase of skills of people with disability. But, I feel like the thing that we have been working on this mission for is so much more. I think that this is the first time that I have seen true kind of step up in showcasing leadership and thought leadership amongst people with disabilities on a kind of new level. You know, we know we're starting to be educated enough that we know that, you know, physically we're able to compete in sports, we're able to sort of relate to one another, that, you know, we're all kind of the same, you know. I have this ongoing joke with Professor Hugh Herr, who is the most advanced person in prosthetics that I have ever met in my life, that how much of your body needs to be there in order for you to still feel like that person is still there. And I think that, you know, that is a very big question. You know, we are so much more beyond our physical body, and, you know, the ideas and the influence and the feeling that we express into the world is the important thing here. And I think that everyone has really demonstrated that, you know, we are ready to advance in the cultural space of disability, of post-disability, of, you know, imagining a future where humans are advanced with technology in multiple ways. And, you know, we do not sort of see a divide, whether it's helping you to get around town or to, you know, communicate with somebody. And, you know, we got to a very advanced place on this flight. The big kind of highlight here of adaptive design and how, I've said this before to many of my crew. I don't think I've ever said that before. But, you know, we got to a point where, sometimes imagining something on a clean slate is much easier than with an existing story. And I really found that thinking about space travel is, brings a lot of new opportunities. We're kind of in normal society and culture here on Earth, we have centuries to overcome thinking around physical differences and ability and disability and, aesthetics and all of that kind of stuff. And when you think about, sending human species kind of out into space and into, making history from that perspective, we really are starting something afresh here. And I think that how we do that and how we come together with all of our expertise and backgrounds, from so many different levels is key, really. I'm like you yourself, was thinking, wow, I feel so different to everybody here in my crew, coming with my performance background and kind of really thinking about things visually, really, I'm a visual person. But I think that is, we're showcasing more than overcoming disability here. We're showcasing the just immense need to have, a full range of thinking, a wide lens of how do you tackle these really big issues that all of us are trying to solve. And, I think this kind of impacts everybody. So I'm just very delighted to have been part of this mission. And, we just got to work on making this a thing now, pretty much. So thanks for inviting me over, Dana. I really
Okay, yeah, no,
appreciate it.
great. I just want to add on to what you say, Victoria. I would tell every kid out there with a disability to don't take no for an answer. If you know what you want and you could do it, show the world, and enough people see it, then you'll get more support. But don't accept no if that's something you really want to do, because you're capable.
And I think most importantly, like, find your supporters,
Mhm.
find your supporters. I think every single, and, I'll take this liberty. I think every single one of us who is here, has got to where we are because we have found our mentors, we have found our supporters, we have found people who, kind of saw our passion. And, when you can reimagine a place for yourself in the world that currently doesn't exist, be the architect, go out there, create that space, move things around, find people that believe in the same thing, and just, it just happens just like that,
Yep.
It just takes a very long time and a lot of work, but yeah.
Good point. Yep. Yep.
All right. That's a great note to close on, I think. actually.
Thank you. Long Beach State has been honored to partner with you, and we thank you so much. The ambassadors from yesterday's flight will be available for individual interviews as desired, either in this room or in the lobby area. Thank you so much for coming today.